My name is Devon Jones, at Hippie Activist, hippie with a Y, activist on Twitter. And this is my co-host, Liliana. Awake from her nap, so she'll be joining us off and on. And I'd like to talk about the DNC and what appears to be ulterior motives within the organization. You see, according to BuzzFeed News and the Daily Caller, the DNC has refused to allow the FBI its due process investigation into the servers. It's direct access, causing the FBI to have to rely on third-party sources for this, which somewhat puts the DNC in charge of this investigation, unfortunately. So, exactly. That's my point. So I would call into question the motives of the DNC, because first of all, why would the DNC be inhibiting this FBI investigation without ulterior motives? If the Russians hacked my laptop and the FBI investigators or hackers said, well, allow me to assist with this. Well, of course, screen sharing, yes, please. Wouldn't you want the FBI to be involved directly in an investigation unless you had ulterior motives? The DNC has reportedly refused the FBI this investigation, which causes me to wonder why. Why doesn't the DNC want the FBI to investigate the supposedly hacked servers? Now, on that note, I would like to point out that I am not agreeing with Donald Trump. F Donald Trump. I am not agreeing with Donald Trump in this matter. Donald Trump has no position, so I cannot agree or disagree with his positions because he has none. Tomorrow he might very well come out and say, oh yes, the Russians might have hacked the DNC servers. He could come out and say anything tomorrow. His positions, if you could call them positions, are consistently inconsistent, meaning he has no positions. So please do not accuse me of being in agreement with Donald Trump, and that's exactly what the mainstream media wants to make this all about. The mainstream media wants to make you feel like you have to believe that Russia hacked the DNC and make you feel as though you're on the side of the intelligence agency versus being on the side of Donald Trump. And who wants to be on the side of Donald Trump as opposed to the intelligence community? Please. So this is being played and orchestrated rather well by the mainstream media. So please do not let them make you feel as though you're either agreeing with the mainstream media or, pardon me, either agreeing with the intelligence community or Donald Trump. That's not the case at all. But the DNC continues to push this narrative of a Russian hacking. And likewise, President Obama has went along with this to the extent of imposing trade sanctions on Russia. Why is that? Well, to jump ahead in the scenario a little bit, I'd like to point out that there are two pipelines, as Jimmy Dore well has described himself on both the Aggressive Progressives by Young Turks and his own show, the Jimmy Dore Show. I like Jimmy Dore. He pointed out in relation to this that there are two pipelines. There is the Russia-backed pipeline, which is the Iran-Iraq-Syria pipeline, and then there's the U.S.-backed Qatar-Turkey pipeline. And these two pipelines intersect right near Aleppo. Oh, goodness. So I would just like to keep that pointed out while we say that the DNC does not want the FBI directly investigating their servers and wondering why our president wants to impose trade sanctions on Russia without direct evidence. That being said, I'd like to throw a monkey wrench into the entire equation. Gets a little bit complicated, not too much for a thinking person, but gets a little complicated. Centrist Democrats want a no-fly zone over Syria, which would obviously impose. It would start a war, basically. Put it in simple terms, it would start a war with Russia. You place a no-fly zone over Syria. Russia disregards no-fly zone. They fly over no-fly zone. We are forced with the dilemma of either shooting down that aircraft or disregarding our own no-fly zone. Pardon me. Also, we are funding both moderate Syrian rebels and funding Turkish insurgents if you could call them insurgents, pardon me, that might be an incorrect term, but were the Turkish warriors involved. Don't forget that our pipeline, the U.S.-backed pipeline, runs through Turkey. Okay, we're funding the Syrian moderate rebels and being directly involved with the Turkish soldiers who are at odds with one another. That being said, international bankers and basically any international organization would stand to profit by funding both sides and watching something play out. Yes, exactly. So, to close by simply saying that violence in the Middle East has never once solved violence in the Middle East for as long as we've propagated it. Yes, that's right, the United States, along with others, including Russia, has propagated violence in the Middle East, hoping it's going to solve violence in the Middle East, while the Middle Eastern mindset is incompatible with this. It's not going to solve the problem, it's going to propagate more terror. So, that being said, I'm not saying that Russia did not hack the DNC. I'm not stating that as an infallible fact. Russia may well have hacked the DNC. It's in the character of the Kremlin as well as it's in the character of the White House to do so. But I am saying that we should call into question the motives of the DNC for suggesting that the FBI should not investigate, or pardon me, suggesting is the wrong term to use, refusing the FBI's ability to conduct an investigation directly into the servers which were supposedly hacked. I'll leave it at that. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter @hippieactivist. And you have a blessed evening.